go ahead and begin with an opening prayer. I invite you to just be still and know the presence of love, the presence of the Holy Spirit all around us in our heart and mind, a healing, transforming presence. It is guiding us gently and easily throughout our meeting and the rest of our day. We're so grateful to be in communion with each other, to be in communion with God, to know that we're one with all there is. So we give thanks in advance for a wonderful meeting with the highest and best outcome for each of us and all of us. And we pray this in the name of the great I Am presence that ever was and will be and is here as each of us right now. And because we let it be, and so it is. Amen. Miss Linda, your board president.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and thank you all so much for staying for the meeting or coming back for the meeting. And thank you, Reverend Dale. So I'm Linda Morgan. I'm the board president and have had the pleasure of serving on the board for several years with some wonderful people. And I would like to introduce them at this time, and then I have just a couple remarks, and we'll get on with the different reports that we have. So as I introduce you, would you mind standing up, board members? Okay. Tammy Stokes is our vice president. Thank you, Tammy. Does a good job and a very busy person. All right. Michelle Riley, also a very busy person, and doing a bang-up job as our secretary. And Dropbox expert. All right, all right. And we also have Marguerite Cuquette, right? Yeah. Couquet. It's Couquet like bouquet, right? Yeah, right. It's Couquette. Good. All right, all right. It's not like that British comedy, you know. Okay, all right. Okay. And she is the treasurer, okay, which she's very familiar with that stuff anyway, having worked on it here in the past. And our alternate member, who is just rotating off, is Josh Fritz, who lives 4 hours away, but has been so faithful to attend our meetings on Zoom. So he has been really making a wonderful contribution. Josh, if you guys are online, we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. It's a one-year term, and he decided he needed to not go for another term at the moment because he's so busy with a lot of things that he and Jules are doing, and the children and so on. How many know Josh and Jules? And they're 3 boys and all that, very cute. Okay, so I really am so grateful to the board for being so wonderful in every way, really. So good at discussing things, allowing us to have fairly short meetings that are relatively organized, which I think is really a good thing. We are unity. I don't know if any of you know, but one time a bunch of us took a class on the Myers-Briggs. There were about 30-something people in here doing the Myers-Briggs. You'll remember. And you remember what happened, don't you, Michelle? We were all in one little box of this.
Except for me.
Except you were in a different. Evelyn was in a different. Oh.
We were the only 2 people that were in this one.
Oh, okay. So for those at home who can only hear from the mic, I'll say what Michelle is saying, that Michelle and one other person were outliers and they were in a different box, but all the rest of the people were in this box. This kind of could be this, could be that, I don't know. I could see both sides. I can see all 5 sides of this. And so no wonder we sometimes have trouble making a definitive decision. No, just a little tidbit there. It was such a shock when we got our results. All right, so I've been excited about church reopening. I mean, I think people had really been attending the Zoom meetings, and a lot of them still are, and I'm really glad that we're able to do both. I think hybrid is in to stay. And that's a good thing, because we can reach so many more people. We have people who aren't even in Georgia tuning in, also we've had, fortunately, thank you so much, some of you are newer people, yes, and we are so grateful. You're representing a whole bunch of newer people, actually. Thank you, because it seems like every Sunday with both services we have at least one either returning from a long time ago or a new person coming. And that's pretty unusual. So I think we need to do a good job of making sure everybody feels really welcome. I know you guys are, but just so that we can help them to feel like they are completely in with us, because we love them and appreciate them. And all of the rest of you who've been here for forever. How many of you have been here forever? All right. All right. Okay, quite a few if you don't have a visual on that one. Okay, and we appreciate you too. Well, so I am very optimistic, and I think that if things are okay now, and they're going to get even better. So, we're going to keep on going, and we've been very blessed with finances, with the donations that people have made, and with some things that we've been able to do. I mean, we got PPP at one point, so that helped us out. There's just been a lot of wonderful financial blessings and other blessings of people helping us. So God has, of course, been good. So all the time. Right? So at this time, since I know you, a lot of people have a class to go to, and I hear it's really going well, I'd like to introduce Marguerite Couquet with the financial report for 2021. And those at home, I think you can see some of this online, right? Yeah. And we can too. Can we see it too here? Good.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Marguerite Couquet. I just want to give you a little introduction to myself in case any of you don't know me. I've been attending Unity of Savannah since the summer of 2005. This is my second time on the board. Did a 3-year term a few years ago, and I'm in the middle of my second go-round. I also, currently, I'll just say this, currently Ruth Murphy is our bookkeeper. I don't know what her official title is, bookkeeper, and I held that job myself for a few years before Ruth did. So I just wanted to say that as treasurer, I'm very familiar with the financial workings of Unity of Savannah. I also have a Master's of Business Administration. I have been a small business owner in the past. I'm currently a licensed health and life insurance agent specializing in Medicare, life, and annuities. And I have been in various volunteer roles at Unity, and I'm happy to serve. So let's take a look at, we're looking now at the balance sheet. So you can see we are well funded. We have plenty of money in the bank. We have plenty of money in investment accounts. We have a huge cushion. So I can't really see the numbers very well. What's the total figure? Oh, thank you. That would help. So we have total assets, including the land and buildings, of course, which is a little bit more of a subjective number, so I'll skip that part. Our total investments are $386,350, so that's not including the value of the land and buildings here. Including the land and buildings, it's over $600,000. So you can see that we have a very good financial foundation to continue our presence here. All right, can we switch to the next? The summary of revenues and expenses. You have a one-page summary sheet. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the totals for the year 2021. We had revenues of $152,279, and we had total expenses of $166,106. So we actually went in the hole $13,826, but as you saw from our previous bank's balance sheet, we had plenty of money to cover that red ink. And so I'm just going to briefly go down the list. Music, that pays for our band. You know, we have very good music here. Office administration, that includes internet, telephone, office supplies, office equipment, all that sort of thing. Professional fees. I forget. Oh yeah, credit card fees. That's a big one. So the way we keep track of things is when we get contributions by credit card, then we put in the revenue figure the total amount, and then we subtract the fees, and the fees show up in the professional fees amount there. Okay. The property costs, that's upkeeping, maintenance, fixing the roof, landscaping, painting, anything to do with taking care of the property. Sacred services, boy, we buy a lot of candles. No, I'm just kidding. We do have audio-visual equipment included in that figure. Utilities, of course, heating and air conditioning, water and sewage, garbage. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. Sacred services, that is volunteering. That's volunteer stuff. Okay, the worship one is what includes audio-visual equipment. And then the tithes, we are a tithing church, so we actually gave away almost $16,000 to where we get spiritually fed. And so we are not only, so we're setting the example of tithing. That's all I can say about that right now. Insurance, we do have liability insurance here and workers' comp insurance. Advertising, marketing, that's just anytime we have to spend a little money to get our name out there. Fellowship, you know, if we buy a birthday cake or, you know, coffee, that sort of thing. Janitorial, obviously keeping the place clean. The board discretionary, the board does have a budget, and we can spend it on training or other things at our discretion. Payroll, that includes all personnel, everybody that gets paid to work here, whether they are W-2 or 1099. And the, so I don't know, does anybody have any questions about this so far? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, yeah, actually that's the wrong, you know, now that I look at it, that's not the right thing. That's not separate.
It's not separate.
Yeah.
And there's the tithe report. Were you going to do that with third one? Okay, well, you can go, there you go. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if nobody has any questions, I'm just going to talk about some of the places that we send our tithing money goes to, helping the homeless, the prayer chaplains, the youth education fund, and we also have some unity organizations that we tithe to, and you know, I don't know, just different. It's mostly just wherever, whatever is giving us spiritual food.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, I just want to say that as treasurer, I also, you know, I mean, I'm looking at the financial statements and the numbers, but also with a prosperity consciousness point of view, and that we're all about holding our vision that we kind of have 2 feet, or 1 foot in the material world that requires money to do things, and the other foot, figurative foot, in the spirit realm, which has no need or lack of money at all. And I would just say that as long as we, keep our vision that we are living in abundance and we have all that we need, that we can demonstrate that individually and personally and collectively. And that is one thing that we're doing here at Unity of Savannah.
Thank you very much. That was great. Let's give Marguerite a hand. Thank you so much. All right. So I wanted to mention that if folks at home, if you had something you wanted to say, you can put it in the chat. Is that correct, Reverend Dale?
Yes.
On the Zoom.
And we just got audio for them just now,
Oh.
so we're still working with it.
Oh. I'm sorry, the audio was delayed, guys. Okay, and so we'll continue on with Reverend Dale's report. All right, thank you.
I just did my gratitude report at the service today, and looking forward to a lot of exciting things in the coming year. We did a survey a couple months ago asking people what was most important that we focus on in 2022, and overwhelmingly everybody said classes and workshops. So we're having the class with Reverend Bob, Reverend Evelyn, and Judy. That's today at 2 o'clock. On February 20th, we're starting an online class with Reverend John Strickland's book, Think, Feel, Heal. He was the director of Silent Unity for a number of years, and he led the big Unity Atlanta church that we go to for trainings. So that's going to be online. I heard from Matt Venuti yesterday, and he's got a whole new program he wants to bring us in May. I have 2 speakers from the INTA coming from Johnny Coleman's church in Chicago, Reverend Jackie Atkins, Reverend Tim Stewart, who's the president of INTA and president of Divine Science. They'll be here in February. So we're really doubling down on now that we're feeling a little more comfortable coming together, we want to do a mix of both in-person and online things. Sometimes at the same time, we're going to have an in-person class and an online class. So that's something to look forward to. And also something that I've been discussing with Bob and another new member is a peace pole project. So how many knows about peace poles? They say, let there be peace on earth in different languages. So we've been researching what languages that we want to have on the pole. We want it to be this big community event where we invite other faith leaders to come. So we're going to have like a blessing. We're going to install this pole in the parking lot and make a little meditation garden. It's a big project, but we think that we can get other people in the community involved, because the second thing on the survey after workshops and classes was community building, and social justice was right behind that. So some of us, Miss Iris, me, Josh, I'm not sure, were you on the living room conversations call? We had a training recently on how to have difficult conversations around things like race and politics and COVID. And so we got some training on how to navigate through some of these conversations. And I'm going to be getting together with everybody that took the training, and we're going to talk about how we want to do that here. And that would even be something that we could bring in people from the outside to participate in as well. So we have a lot of stuff planned for this year, but what I really want to talk about is, what do you want to know from me? Like, what are your questions? Every year when I do this, I just guess like what you want to hear as far as giving a report, and it's just really on my heart this time to hear, like, what do you want to know from me?
Dale?
Yes, Michelle.
I would love if you would just talk to us a little bit about these larger organizations that you're part of, like what does INTA mean? And you also have the MMAS or
UMAS.
UMAS.
Yes.
Just some of those larger.
Thank you.
Because I know you're very involved and I'm not quite sure which ones are in which.
Okay, thank you. So if you're listening on the internet, Michelle just asked me to share about the larger organizations I'm part of. So I joined UMAS, Unity Ministers of the Mid-Atlantic States, the second month I was here. It's a support group for ministers. We cover 5 states: South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. We meet in February, in March. I'm going to be going to St. Christopher's on Seabrook Island in 2 weeks to meet for a couple of days with everybody. And basically when we get together, we just do heart checks where we talk about what's going on in our lives and in our churches, and more focused on in our lives. So it's like ministers taking care of each other, and it's a safe place to be able to talk about any challenges that we're having. And I've just made some wonderful friends and got some great resources, like ideas for classes and workshops, and ideas for talk messages on Sunday and stuff. So in addition to meeting in February and May, we also do the Canuga retreat that I know some of y'all have been to in the fall every year. So this is a retreat that's open to anybody that wants to come from anywhere. And this year we're moving to Lake Junaluska in North Carolina. We've been at Canuga for longer than I've been a member. So when we meet in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about what we're going to do at the retreat. So I've served as the president and the vice president of that. And I'm currently serving as the second vice president of the International New Thought Alliance, which is the largest umbrella organization for New Thought still in existence. It's been operating for over 100 years. The Fillmores were part of INTA. Ernest Holmes was part of INTA, and now I'm part of INTA. So the purpose of INTA is to offer support and resources and a container for all New Thought organizations. Unity is New Thought, probably the largest New Thought organization in the world, but there's also the Centers for Spiritual Living, Divine Science, Universal Foundation for Better Living. There's a number. And then there's a lot of little independent New Thought churches that aren't part of any bigger organization. For instance, there's a few churches that started out as an MCC church, if you know what that is, a Metropolitan Community Church, which is basically a Christian church for gay people. So a lot of times these people get together in the MCC churches and they decide not only did they want a safe place for gays, lesbians, transgendered people to get together, but they also wanted to explore outside of the Christian box. So then they become New Thought churches. And there's a number of like little independent churches running around. So INTA gives an umbrella, a container for all of these different organizations to come together. So we have a congress every year, a conference this year it's in Chicago. It's going to be at the Christ Universal Temple. Reverend Galen McDowell is the minister, and Jackie Atkins, who's coming here next week, she's on the ministerial team there. So we also do a ministers development conference that we were going to hold in person here next month, but because of COVID, we decided to do it online. And I did talk to the other board members last week about coming back here in person next year. So we may be hosting them here, which is a big deal. We'll get New Thought ministers from all over the world to come here. What else would you like me to talk about?
Could you just briefly mention the Clinton Foundation?
Yes, there's a group that's funded by the Clinton Foundation to investigate and offer resources around the opioid crisis. And they were invited to come to Georgia. They've done trainings in Athens. They've done trainings in Atlanta. They're in Savannah now, and it starts next month. So I was invited to join. You take like 6 months of training. It's all online once a month until the last one is in person. And it's about how can you help with the opioid crisis. The lady that runs it that I talked to, she lives in New York. I talked to her last week. She said that President Clinton was personally affected by someone in his family that overdosed from opioids. And what I discovered from talking to her is that there are so many people that get addicted to opioids because their doctor prescribes fentanyl and OxyContin, and they don't know what it would do to them if you continue to take it for a long time. And then when their prescriptions run out, they end up having to go out on the street and buy it because they're hooked on it, you know. And so it's just training faith leaders how to address situations. You know, they'll provide us with these shots that you can give to people if they're having an opioid overdose. And the main point of the training is to do some sort of project, and they give you $2,000 to do an event or some sort of outreach to the community. So that starts in a couple of weeks.
And anybody who's interested, isn't it?
It's for faith leaders. So, but when we do the project, I will be asking for help, most likely from the community.
Dale, I had one more thought.
Yes.
Could you mention to everybody how the mayor of Savannah is reaching out to the faith community and stuff?
Yes, when the COVID crisis started, the mayor contacted, you know, most faith communities in Savannah and said, do you want to be part of this coalition of faith leaders that we meet on Zoom about once a quarter or so? And he just gives us like an update on what's going on with COVID. They put together a little team of 4 or 5, Rabbi Haas, the guy at Asbury got together, and they came up with reopening protocols for all of us to follow. So it's kind of like the mayor asked us to be in one accord, in one mind, in one agreement as far as like, are we going to be open or are we going to be closed? If we're going to open, can we all adhere to these guidelines? So that's part of the Savannah Safe pledge that we have on the poster in the hall. And the really wonderful thing about this is now that we have these connections, you know, when things go on like with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, the mayor will say, hey, can y'all get on a call with me and let me tell you what's going on? Like, you know, when there was a protest about George Floyd downtown, he asked all of the faith leaders to come and walk with him. So we went, Eric went with me, we went down to this historical church down there off of City Market, and we met with people who trained us on how to behave and de-escalate in a protest situation, and then we all walked with the mayor from the church down to the city hall while people were down there giving speeches and protesting and everything. And then like right before the Armory verdict, like couple days before, he called us all together and said, just want you to know, here's what we're doing. You know, these are the preparations that we're making. Please communicate this, you know, to people in your groups and let them know, you know, that we got this. So it started out with COVID, but it's like evolved into something that is just a way for the mayor to communicate with all of the faith leaders. And there's like 100 people on these calls, like everybody in Savannah is taking part in it. Andrew?
Stephen Kaywood asks, are you in touch with Savannah State University? Let's go ahead and include SCAD and Armstrong and Georgia Southern as well, about their COVID policies and bringing their students more into our community.
No. I have not really been in communication with any of the colleges, but we are renewing our efforts to hire a spiritual center host. The board just approved $15 an hour for 15 to 20 hours a week. We're looking for somebody that has some experience, some skills, perhaps a degree. So I am looking forward to reaching out to at least Savannah State and probably SCAD too, to see if they have any candidates, because we need somebody that is like mad computer skills, like that rules the internet. So
I have a question.
yes.
You mentioned several class ideas for classes, but you mentioned workshops as well. I was wondering what sort of ideas you have floating around for workshops.
I'd like to teach some more about metaphysics. We haven't had any metaphysics classes in a while, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. I also like the Emma Curtis Hopkins teachings, so I like to do something around that. But I'm also very open to, you know, someone approached me the other day that's written 3 books on Mary Magdalene, and she works with a lady who does dances of universal peace around the divine feminine. You know, Matt Venuti contacted me, and he's got this new program that incorporates video that he shot on his travels around the country. He's got a couple of new instruments. So I'm looking at bringing in people that haven't visited here before with kind of some, maybe a little bit out of the box spiritual presentations. Because someone did say on our survey, can you get somebody besides your friends that you bring all the time? And so I'm trying to honor that. Yeah. June.
Yes, for classes, is there going to be any in the future regarding, around Catherine Ponder's, reading her writings?
That's not something that I've considered, but I thank you. I'm looking for input on what y'all want to learn about. Like, I'm just kind of like a lot of times guessing on what you want to know, and that's why I was looking forward to answering questions today. So yes, absolutely, we can teach Catherine Ponder. Because usually my go-to for prosperity is Edwin Gaines, because I've studied with her for so much. Thank you. Can we bring Bob?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to give Robert Turner the opportunity to share a little bit. He's doing his internship here. He'll be licensed and ordained as a Unity minister here in a few months, and part of his internship is the class that he's teaching. But just wanted to let you meet him and give him a chance to share.
Thank you, Reverend Dale. And thank you to Unity of Savannah for allowing me to do an internship here. That I was introduced to New Thought over 40 years ago. I tell the story, my wife handed me a book, well, the fiance at the time handed me a book, 3 magic words, and those 3 magic words were, I am God. And I said, the God of separation ceased to exist, the God that punished the sinners and rewarded the pious, and then the God that we're all part of and live and move and have our being. And, you know, my commitment at the time was just to grow spiritually day by day, you know, just doesn't happen overnight. I did that, you know, very successfully through these New Thought principles, you know, in terms of the relationship I've had with my wife and children, the relationship with others, really great health throughout, you know, very successful career in investments. But when it was time to wind down, I said, what do I do next? And I've always enjoyed learning. And I said, well, you know, I can go learn about history or sociology or whatever, but I had begun to focus on Unity, and I said I would like to do that. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. And toward the end of that, it is to be involved in a Unity spiritual community. And my wife and I have lived in Philadelphia for over 37 years. Amazingly, there was no Unity spiritual community there, which is surprising, a big city like that. But we were coming down here 2 or 3 times a year and would always stop in and, you know, really, and we visit a lot of other Unity churches throughout the country as well, too, as we were traveling. And, you know, there's just something very unique about this spiritual community here. You know, the music program, I say, you know, I went to a church service and a Broadway concert broke out, or, you know, maybe a Jerry Lee Lewis concert or something like that. But that was the appeal, and just the warmth of everybody here, and the spirituality that emanated from it. So it was just really fortunate that as it came time to connect, I reached out to Reverend Dale, and he felt comfortable with that. We've since moved down here full-time, but we have children and grandchildren spread throughout the country. So as I get ordained, you know, I do not want to do what Dale does. That's a big burden. But I would like to write. I've got a couple ideas, kind of connecting the spirituality with the finance. And, you know, it's part of the class we're doing now on spiritual economics with Eric Butterworth. I enjoy teaching. And, you know, and certainly just working with this community. Dale and I have talked a lot about the community outreach because, you know, I think a great way for the community to grow and prosper is to reach out to others and serve others as well, too. So, you know, what have I done as an intern? Well, daily at 8 o'clock, I deliver Dale's Starbucks coffee. It's like grande vanilla latte, extra hot. Friday, I pick up his dry cleaning, you know, light starch in the shirts, and then, you know, the leaves are all gone, but soon I'll be mowing his yard. So, yeah, it's been a little challenging with COVID because, you know, and then I've been traveling again with the family, but, you know, I taught the course online on Emmett Fox, and now Judy Evelyn and I are doing Eric Butterworth, and that's really a lot of fun. I've been able to participate in some of the board meetings. Dale and I have talked about some of the finances of the church. I was blessed to go on the retreat with the prayer chaplains, which was really a great experience, and the community outreach with the Peace Bowl. I'm looking forward to that as well too. So thank you for having me here. And my wife Carolyn and I, she wasn't able to be here today. We've got 4 grandchildren in town, but we're really anxious to become even bigger parts of this spiritual community.
Wow, thank you a lot. That was very helpful. And I'm glad that you're here. We certainly appreciate you. And I had heard about the coffee in the mornings. Something about that. So the Youth and Family Report is next. Is Iris. There you are. Okay, thank you so much. So Miss Iris McCraw, who people say that all the time the wrong way, don't they? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Marguerite inspired me today, or just gave me a hint. We take for granted, I know I do, take for granted that people know who I am and what my background is. And Marguerite, because you shared yours, it reminded me that, it's not a bad idea to kind of let people know who I am, where I come from, what my background is. So I am, by training or by education, I am an educator. My experience with Unity, my involvement with Unity, we had a conversation a little bit earlier today about how long have I been a part of Unity. Well, I started attending the Unity Church when I moved to Savannah in 2004. Prior to that, I had attended a New Thought church, but I also realized that as a child, I had a subscription to We Wisdom. And so, I look forward to that every month. I'm getting this magazine. I'm getting mail in my name. And, but I'm reading the poems and the prayers and, just being familiarized with these ideas. And so by the time I came to Unity here, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I've heard that before. So it's interesting how life prepares you for where you're going to be. So I have been the director of the Youth Enrichment Program for a number of years now. And I emphasize the word enrichment because of some conversation that we had as a church when we were doing some visioning. It became apparent that the word education means certain things to certain people, and it has such a limiting kind of way of, that we look at education, and we didn't want that for our children. Myrtle Fillmore often talks about, we use her quote about how you don't tell a rose how to grow. The rose knows what it's supposed to do. You feed it, you water it, and it does its thing. So that's how our children are. We don't have to tell our children. We give them experiences and they will grow and prosper. And so within the youth education program or youth enrichment program, we do have some curriculum that we are able to use. But what I have found is that many children's books, stories, there are just so many ways of exposing our children to spiritual ideas and principles and helping them to know that they know this stuff. It's just a matter of being able to articulate it. I have been asked many times by Reverend Dale about why do I want to work with the children? And I've shared this with other people. I have fun. I really have fun with them. The children are just awesome. They're just really awesome. They teach me about unity. They teach me the unity principles because in having to present the information in a way that they can understand, it deepens my understanding as well. So during COVID, of course, you know, we've been shut down and no in-person, and I've missed that. Since October, we have reopened the program, the youth program, so that I'm here on Sunday, available for children. We have sought to bring in some other people who can work with the children as well, be available. And so far, we have not been successful in having people step forward who are able to do that. We are doing this in a way that we are putting our children's safety first. You know, there's so many ideas and opinions running around about, you know, how to keep people safe. And we know that, or what I understand is that all we can do is reduce risk. And so what we have done in terms of putting, so we put some protocols in place, they're on the website, of the guidelines that we are using with our children, which is why at the end of service, we're not bringing the children back in here yet. We're just doing all the things that we have been made aware of that will reduce risk. That being said, Linda, you mentioned, you know, that now we're still going to continue to do hybrid stuff. So I am aware that one of the ways that we can be more in touch with our families is through our online presence. And I have to admit, I am very much challenged by Facebook. I am very much challenged to really have a vibrant presence for our youth program online. So I'm putting it out there. I need a Facebook coach. If someone, you know, just has some time, I'm a pretty fast learner. I just need someone that I can ask questions of and will help to guide me. I also look forward to any suggestions, ideas. Parents, if you're out there listening, what do you need? What do you want? You know, anybody, if you thought about, you know, if your child, you know, you were trying to do something, give them some ideas or have them have a space online that they can connect with to get a unity experience, what would you want? Tell me about it, please. So I think that's about all I have to share. Any questions? Yes, Andrew.
What does a typical Sunday look like? Like the kids show up from point A to end of service. What goes on?
Okay, that's a great question. Andrew wants to know what does a typical Sunday look like with the children. So some years ago, I was fortunate enough to be sent to Unity Village for training with our youth program there, the people who run the youth program from Unity Village. And it was an awesome, awesome experience. One of the things that they helped me to understand is the importance of ritual. The children really, really, really resonate with repetitive things, things that they know that they're going to count on. So every Sunday, I start with the children. I start with a sacred circle with them. We light our Christ candle. We talk about what that means, how that shows up for us in our lives. We do a prayer. We do sacred breath, which is what probably us as adults would call meditation, but it's a way to introduce that sitting still and breathing to children. We do, we bless each other. We have a little wand, and one of the children goes around and holds the wand over everyone's head, and each person gets a blessing. So it's very participatory. So I do some stuff. I ask, the children to do some things. Some of them will volunteer. If they've been here enough, they know, oh, can I do this? Can I do the gong this time? So, they recognize the ritual. And then we also do a celebration. So what we want to do is, whatever has happened for any of the children during that week that made them feel good, we celebrate it. And they can lead that. So it might be sometimes somebody might come in there and they hear us stomping our feet and yelling. We're celebrating. Or maybe we're clapping or we're beating on the table, but we're doing a celebration. Oh, I played soccer this week. Oh, let's celebrate. So we celebrate what's happening in the children's lives. And then we kind of go to whatever the lesson might be. And the lesson might be, it's Christmas. We talked about during the Christmas season, the Advent season, we talked about lights and how there are different celebrations that happen around that time of the year, Hanukkah, things that involve light. So that was just a theme for, during that period of time. We've started, since the beginning of the year, we've been looking at creation. So today we did a story, How to Talk to God. I think that was the title of the story. And I just read the book, and then we created some art. We did art, did a craft idea. So I have different books that give me ideas. I look online and I get ideas. And then, I'm just really very fluid with the children. Because the other thing is I never know how many children are going to show up. And because I'm the only one there, we are currently limited to the first 5. More than 5 children, and I don't know that I would feel comfortable in how I'd be able to keep them safe. So right now, that's what's happening. Does that answer the question? Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for these good reports. The next thing that we have is the selection of the 2022 nominating committee members, which is 2 people. These are people who are members of the church who agree to serve as nominating committees for next year's annual meeting where there will be board elections. So, is that any questions about that? And okay, so one of the actually it's an important job. People don't call on you to do anything about it until sort of later in the year, of course. And so we'll be reminding you that you are on the nominating committee. And the nominating committee consists of board chairperson, minister, and the 2 people, and maybe somebody else. Okay, all right. So, and we can have 4 to 6 members on the board, not counting the minister who is counted as a member of the board. Yeah. And so currently we have 4. And I think that would be for next year's board, because if we had a position we had to fill this year, somehow we fill that temporarily from within just to finish that year out. If there's 3-year terms, so if somebody leaves before it's over, we fill the rest of their term. So okay. Well, a lot more information than you probably expected to get. Anyway, so we are open for nominations. Anybody want?
Linda, can people write in the chat box if they're interested?
They can. Will we be able to see? That's great. You can nominate yourself too.
Well, you're not nominating, you're just volunteering.
You're basically volunteering. Yes, right. That's right. It's a nominating committee, but you are volunteering for it. All right. There's one. All right. Tammy Stokes is one. All right. And Andrew. Oh,
Great.
that sounds really good. All right. I think you guys will work very well together. Is there anybody else on the chat box right now who's already? Thank you. All right. So, any discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand. All right. All opposed? It looks like a landslide. All right. Thank you. All right. And any questions that you all might have that we didn't already discuss? And if you think of things later, feel free anytime to talk to board members or Reverend Dale, so on, and church staff and so on.
My email address is minister@unitysavannah.org. Very, very easy to remember. Minister@unitysavannah. It's a great way to get in touch with me. If you want to meet with me in person, send me an email and get on my schedule. We'll spend an hour together.
Oh, come back
I'm
over.
so
Yeah, there
sorry.
you go.
I'm
Yeah,
so
we-
sorry. I just said my email is minister@unitysavannah.org. If you want to talk to me about anything, you can call the church, 912-355-4704. Leave a message. This is on our website too, unitysavannah.org. And if you want to meet with me in person or on Zoom for an hour, send me an email and make an appointment and let me get you on my schedule. I'm very flexible, so I can meet in the morning, the afternoon, the evening. I have a very flexible schedule on the weekends, so anybody that wants to chat or pray and want to talk about something, just let me know. The only thing I ask is you make an appointment, and then you get my full attention for an hour, so.
Not on. It is on. Yes, oh, good. Okay, so thank you very much, Reverend Dale. Well, I see that if there are no more questions, sorry, would you mind giving the closing prayer? All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
I've got one more question, just a quick one. Is it possible to get a digital copy of the bylaws?
If you are an active member of the church, you should have received an email yesterday evening that has a link to the bylaws and to all three financial reports that we shared during the meeting. If you did not get that email and you would like a digital copy of the bylaws or the financial reports, send an email to me, minister@unitysavannah.org, and I'll hit you right back with all the links.
Just one thing, when I was saying up there, that summary that was projected was the wrong one, it wasn't the updated one. So I want to make sure that the link to the financial reports includes the corrected version that we prepared.
Okay, that's my fault. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That question about those two things, it sounded like you were saying.
Yeah, anyway.
All right. Well, thank you.
Anything else? Well, let's go to our heart one more time and just feel appreciation for being part of something greater than ourselves. We are part of all that is. And what an interesting experience to be part of everything, but also to be in relationship with that allness. So we're an expression of love, but yet we're in love with God. We are loved and we are beloved. And we're so grateful that we have felt that. We've felt our connection. And we know that as we go from here today, that our bonds with each other are strengthened and renewed. And so we move from our meeting, from our time together, filled with appreciation and a renewed sense of the presence of God within us and all around us. And so it is. Amen.